What up, crew? Today we're going to make a couple different versions of Snowman, and one of them we're going to name Vincent Van SNOW instead of Vincent Van Gogh, because we're going to look at one of his most famous paintings called Starry Night. And you may remember Vincent Van Gogh when we studied sunflowers and some of his other works and life story. We're going to focus on Starry Night this time, and I linked some videos and cool extension stuff in the instructions. But first I'm going to show you how we can make Vincent Van SNOW instead of Vincent Van Gogh. So you'll need a piece of paper. We're going to work vertical, the tall up and down way. And we're going to start by sketching lightly 3 circles, a small, a medium, and a large. And we want those circles to kind of connect and touch each other. So near the top, I might go round and round and make a smaller circle. Then I'm going to go medium. So medium's bigger, go round and round. I'm using my whole arm to draw so that I'm not making teeny tiny or scraggly circles, but nice and round movements. Now we're going to go biggest. The biggest one, I'm almost going to touch the edge of the paper. I could go a little bigger probably. There we go. All right, now because I don't want them barely touching and cutting and barely connecting, we're going to just outline the outside edge. And also, I don't want you to cut the whole circle out because we want them connected for our snowman. So I'm just going to use a marker and I'm going to just outline around the outside edge and not go all the way around. So I'll stop there. That way it won't be very flimsy. This is like the back. So now I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to chomp with my scissors around my black line and not the whole circle getting cut out. And then this will be the base or the body of Vincent Van SNOW. And then scraps, if they're teeny tiny, go in the trash, or recycling. If they are big enough to use for collage, we keep them in the scrap bin, right? All right. So once you flip it over and you're on the front, I'm going to use oil pastels. You could use crayons or another waxy, because crayons and oil pastels are both made of wax. You're going to look at a picture of Vincent Van Gogh's Starry Night, and we're going to try to recreate it on the background of our snowman. So I'm looking at it right now, and there's that cypress tree. His favorite kind of tree is that cypress tree, and it kind of curves up, kind of funny like that. And since it's at night, the green is a little darker, so I'm going to use a darker green. So again, you can look at Starry Night, and you can have the tree. If you don't want the tree, you don't have to have the tree. You could just do the nighttime sky. Then I might even use a little black because it's at night and it's so dark. And I'm just using some texture marks. And then there's also like a village that you see. You don't have to put the buildings if you don't want to, but I might put like the red barn. And there's the roof. So again, you don't have to add every single detail of Starry Night. The main focus is going to be the night sky, but I just want to show you how you could add some of the buildings too. There is a church there with like a steeple. And I'll put some texture in the rooftop maybe. Maybe you want to add your house in there. You could add your house or a school or another friend's house or grandma's house, something like that. Maybe I'll make this a red roof with some texture. And maybe the hills behind it. I'll just kind of outline since I'm holding the orange. I could use that to make the hills. And of course the hills have some brown texture marks in them, the field. The green hills behind the town. Again, you're going to be looking at Starry Night and you don't have to add all the same details. You don't even have to add the ground if you don't want to. You could just add the sky And that's what I'm going to get into next. So the sky, we love the cool colors of the sky. So cool colors, think blues and purples, even some turquoise. There's not really green up in the sky, but he did get a little green mixed when his blue paint mixed in with what color? Stars and moon. His favorite color, yellow. So I'm going to use a little yellow. I also have gold and silver oil pastels. So if you have gold and silver oil pastels or crayons, that might be fun to use as well. So I'm going to put some stars. When he makes stars, he kind of just does a circle with texture marks around it to show that it's glowing. So I might get some stars in there. I might also get the moon in there. We'll make it a crescent moon. If you did a full moon, it would just be a big circle, but I like the crescent moon, just like in the painting Starry Night. All right, I might do one more star up in the head, and then I might use some gold. Maybe one's a shooting star. And then maybe I'll use a little silver too, just for fun. And the shiny stars and moon. And now I'm going to use those cool colors to get those swirls in the sky that I love so much in Starry Night and that everyone loves. It kind of creates movement, those swirls, those spirals. Your eye is constantly moving. And I was lucky enough to see Starry Night in person at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. One of the coolest places I've been. So I'll add some purple swirls as well, because purple's a nice cool color and a complement to the yellow too. And then maybe I'll get some lighter blue. And while you're using your oil pastels or crayons or whatever you have, maybe you're using marker, you could add some eyes. And you could add a mouth. I'm going to use circles to make the mouth. You can make the mouth any way that you want. You could add other accessories too, but I'm going to show you in a little bit. You can collage those on. So I'm going to leave the nose, hat, scarf, all that stuff for later. You could leave it as it is right now, or if you want, you could paint watercolor or temper cakes on top, or you could do the whole thing as a painting and not use crayon at all. So it's really up to you. I'm going to do oil pastel first and then paint on top. I'm going to be using temper cakes, which are thicker than watercolors. You can use watercolor, or again, like I said, no paint at all if you don't want to. But when we use watercolor or temper cakes, you remember you got to get your brush wet, and we wake up one color at a time. And I'm going to start with Amarillo Yellow, Van Gogh's favorite, and I'm just going to put some yellow marks around the yellow stars and moon, just to kind of fill in some of that white space and make it look as if it's glowing a little bit more. And as you know, waxy crayon resists the watery paint. And maybe I'll rinse my brush. Maybe I'll wake up the green just to go over some of the hills there. And I'm not going to fill the whole thing so you don't have to watch the whole thing. But then I'm going to go into those cool colors, maybe some turquoise, maybe some azul blue, maybe some violetta purple. Excuse me. So you can paint over your Starry Night snowman, or you could just leave it crayon, marker, colored pencil, your choice. Then, I don't have scraps with me right now, but if you wanted to make like a carrot nose on a separate piece of paper and glue it on, you could find an orange paper or you could color it orange. A carrot is almost like a triangle. So you could make a triangle shape, or you could make a rounded triangle, like that, where it's round in the end. You could even make some texture marks on that carrot if your heart desires. You could collage your eyes, maybe, or if you even found buttons, you could actually collage a button on as an eye. You could make buttons or circles for a mouth. You could collage a regular mouth. You could collage a scarf. So a scarf is just like a little breadstick shape. with some rectangle tubes hanging off the end, and maybe you have some fringe. And then you could design a really cool pattern in your scarf too. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe stripes or checkerboard or polka dots, or, oh my goodness, believe it or not, you could make sunflowers on the scarf for Vincent Van SNOW, Van Gogh's favorite flower. Or you could just make it yellow, his favorite color, or you could make it swirly like Starry Night to match the painting and background. It's up to you. For a hat, to make a hat, you could make like a long skinny breadstick for the brim of the hat, and then you could kind of go up like this, over and back down. That makes a nice top hat. If you want, you could put a band on the top hat. You could put a little shine on the top hat. And if you want, you could decorate it with a little holly. So like the red cranberries together with some of the greenery coming off it. You could add texture too, highlights. Boom. So you can add all sorts of things to your snowman and collage it on. That means you cut it or you find it and you glue it. Another funny thing you could do, you could give your snowman a little orange beard, just like Vincent Van Gogh. That'd be kind of fun. All right, I'm going to show you one more technique. Well, actually, I'll show you some finished Vincent Van SNOWs of mine before I show you another technique that might be kind of fun. So here's a big finished Vincent Van SNOW. You see the hat and the nose I collaged on. Then when my paint was dry, I just drew on top with the eyes and mouth. And then there's my Starry Night down below. And then I use brown paper and texture marks to create the arms. Here's a little smaller version I did, so it fits on the camera better. I made a scarf. I used red and green, contrasting colors. I made a hat with some holly collaged on. I collaged some stick arms with lots of texture and a big carrot nose. And once again, got Starry Night represented for Vincent Van SNOW. Now I kind of want to make an orange beard on him or some sunflowers. That'd be pretty cool. All right. Now I'm going to show you a different technique. It's a little different. It requires a container of water. So I have a container of water here. I hope it can still be seen under the dot cam. There you go. And then it also requires you to use scissors and chalk and a grown-up's approval or supervision, because we are going to be using the scissors wide open like this. So we're going to use the sharp edge of the scissors, but we need to be very careful and safe. So before you do this, you need to ask an adult to help you. So I picked out chalks that were cool colors. So blues, turquoise, and purple. I also picked yellow because it's Vincent Van Gogh's favorite, and I like yellow too. And I also picked a little white to lighten things up and maybe see if it would look like snow. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the chalk. So the scissors are wide open. I'm very careful not to touch the sharp edge. Then I'm going to turn my chalk on its edge, so I'm right on the corner, and I'm going to kind of strike it with the scissors so that little pieces of the chalk, like dust, kind of fly off and sit on top of the water. The chalk eventually will sink, but for a while it's going to float on top of the water, and we want to kind of go quick or add more chalk if it starts to sink. So now I've switched from purple to blue. So again, you're very careful when you flick the chalk. Now I'm going to use the light blue, and we'll see how that works. A little turquoise in there. We'll see if this turns out. You're probably thinking, what on earth is Mr. Gove even doing? But trust and believe, and you'll see a pretty cool effect. Now I'm going to use some of Vincent Van Gogh's favorite yellow. It's going to look almost like the stars of Starry Night in there. And then I'll use a little white. So you can probably see a little bit on the screen. It's hard to tell. But you can see some of that chalk floating on the top. And luckily, I have prepared another snowman-shaped paper. Let's see how this works. I'm going to just press the paper on top of the water. I'm just kind of tapping it on top. It's not sinking in the water. It's not going under and diving and scuba diving. It's just kind of laying on top of the water, floating around on top of that chalk. Once you think you've kind of covered the whole thing, we're going to reveal and see if we made a success or a fail on our experiment. Whoa! Can you see that? The chalk left a mark, almost as if it painted on the paper. It left a really cool design there, an effect. And then once it dries, you could draw or paint on top, or I could see this being a really cool Christmas ornament. If you just pressed a circle in, it would look like an ornament, or anything, even a card, anything at all. If you press it on top of watery chalk like that, you'll get some pretty cool effects. Wow, I love the detail and the color. So awesome. I tested it a few minutes ago and got this. I might turn this into a bookmark or a little card, but that chalk and the water made a little experiment, and before it sank, I just pressed the paper on top and I'm digging those results. I could do this all day long. So I hope you learned a lot. I hope you can make a Vincent Van SNOW snowman, and maybe even try the chalk experiment as well. Just so many cool options to celebrate winter, and also learn a little bit about Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night and some new techniques and experiments. Oh my, I'm so thankful for you, champion artists. Keep up the good work. Adios, amigos.